Welcome to the video. Today I'm going to be opening up the July ArtSnacks Plus box. We're going to be opening it up, finding out what's inside, and then trying to make some art with it. Here you go. So the first thing I see is this little, it's an envelope of 100% cotton paper. It appears to be watercolor paper. I'm getting that hint because it literally says watercolor paper on it. Long life permanent paper. Then you have your 12 loose leaf sheets of paper. Sounds good. Here we have the adorable bubble wrap bag. I geeked out about this last month. So this is actually only their second month of the ArtSnacks Plus. It's a brand new box. And usually it's the ArtSnacks box, which is like this big. And it comes with just the art supplies that are in the tissue paper. I think last month I was a little underwhelmed because ArtSnacks always comes in a small box and you have a small art supplies. And now that they've made the box bigger to incorporate full-size premium paper, you're kind of expecting there to be large art supplies, which doesn't really work out that way. So I think that's just like a mental thing. So this menu actually lists the items that are in the regular ArtSnacks box, so that goes with that. This lists the art supplies that come exclusively in the ArtSnacks Plus. This is the Master Brush Cleaner and Preserver. You're supposed to run your brush under water and then rub it gently on this soap. And it's supposed to clean things very, very well. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Just reading the description. Then we have this. We have this Princeton Lauren series gold synthetic brush in the size 4. Yep, seems to be a brush. And then the other exclusive ArtSnacks Plus item, obviously, is the paper. On the back, we have a coupon code prompt. They suggest that we draw some unique trees or paint vibrant flowers. So let's find out what the actual art supplies we'll be working with are. Oh, and of course we have a nice candy, an extra sour Crybaby bubblegum, and all the art supplies. Oh, Daniel Smith watercolor. Hey. So we have these two colors. It appears to be phthalo blue and a rose color. We have this Pigmographic 1, so I guess it's 1 millimeter. And this is a graphic, which I'm gonna guess makes big, bold graphic lines. Also, we have the ArtSnacks sticker, which looks like this. Those are exclusive to each month. We have this Princeton number 8 round brush. Yeah, look at that, it's a brush. Very nice. The last art supplies in this month's box is the General Sketch and Wash pencil. Now, does that mean it's water soluble? So it's a watercolor pencil? I guess we should find out. This seems like as good a time as I need to mention the sponsor of today's video, ArtSnacks, if it wasn't obvious. And no, I didn't film this later because I forgot. What are you talking about? ArtSnacks is offering all of you 10% off your first order for an ArtSnacks subscription box, either the ArtSnacks Plus or the ArtSnacks Original, if you use the code WAFFLES. And I also want to mention something about this, because I don't do it in the actual video. I got some of this paint on my desk and it's stained, which is weird for watercolor. And I tried soap, I even tried acetone, and nothing would get it off. And then I remembered that this existed, and so I tried it, and well, this is where it was. So I just took a little bit of the brush cleaner, tapped it there, used some water, and scrubbed, and it came right off. And it actually took a couple other stains that I had on my desk. So I'm very happy with this, and this is something I'm going to be using a lot of in the future. I'll have a link in the description for more information about ArtSnacks through their website. And I want to thank again ArtSnacks for sponsoring the channel and the video. Now let's get back to the video where I attempt to draw those roses. My arch nemesis. There, I cut the paper down to an A5 size. And then we also have some little swatch papers we can use to test the art supplies. Here's what we're working with. We also need some water. I have a dirty water cup and a clean water cup. I mean, they're both clean, but one is for dirty water and one is for clean water. Let's see what happens. I'm gonna grab a little paintbrush, some water. Oh yeah, look at that. See how it lifts? Yes, okay, I'm in love with that. See what kind of tones you can get with this, depending on how much water we add. Definitely lots of options in one tube, which is what I really like about watercolor, but it's also very tricky for me as a beginner to like get the specific tone that I want. All right, let's try the blue. Oh, and then I wanted to go back and check that micron. Right, it does lift just a smidge, but it might be the humidity. Oh no, no, wait. That looks pretty good now. They didn't include a pencil. Hopefully that's not cheating. I'm gonna grab a pencil. I want to just sketch out an idea here. I don't have a green, which is usually kind of what I associate with something being lush or organic. So we have to kind of play around with it. The first thing that came to my head is one of those characters from that Thumbelina movie. But they're all like, is she gonna marry the fairy prince, Mama? Those people. So maybe the outfit's also a bud. I can't quite remember what they look like, but that's the first thing that kind of came to mind. Maybe, I don't know, some kind of like plant inspired or organic looking creature. Or the head could be a flower, although that feels kind of Pokemon to me. Maybe something with a rose for a head. Also, since I don't appear to know how to draw flowers, maybe I should just try to draw one from reference. Ooh, something like this, pretty flowers. Now, flowers. I always try to simplify everything down into simple shapes, and then I build from there. But flowers are just so complicated and delicate, it kind of goes against everything that I know how to do. So I find them very difficult to draw, obviously. So maybe if I can learn how to do them, it'll help my art as a whole in the future. Because I mean, if you can learn to simplify complicated things, that just opens up a whole bunch of doors. So that's like a bud. Looks like buds tend to group themselves in these bouquets I'm looking at. Grab a paintbrush and just add some water to this. The sketchbook's not a watercolor sketchbook, but who cares? Just add some light color. See how I could go about this without having green. Maybe, what if I just substituted green with purple? I could make it look a little bit more fantasy-like. Oh, we also have that pencil if we need something to be dark or black. I should probably try to keep it a tone at first. Try to stay away from black as much as possible so I can kind of learn to use different tones for those instead. I love doing particle dots. I just think they look cool and they kind of like make the eye think of things without it like expressly telling you what to see. Like they don't take away the creativity of the viewer by like expressly telling you what you need to see. That sounds deeper than I would have ever imagined I could be. Alright, so I seem to be kind of mixing all the colors together a lot, and I think I want to keep some separate so that the bouquet feels more like the flowers are all different, because right now I'm mixing all the colors together, and I feel like that kind of takes away from any point where the color could be used solely on its own. Let me just try throwing some of this in here. So this isn't quite as black as I thought it was at first. So it does look a lot like, kind of like graphite, but obviously it works a lot like a watercolor pencil. Let me try without sketching, just like throwing paint around and seeing if I can do anything that looks like a flower. Just kind of like paint simple shapes and see how much I can make it look like a flower. I'm kind of gonna just not wait for anything to dry and let it spread. See what happens. And I'll try a blue one like right next to it and see if I like that better than like incorporating most of the colors together. Maybe a different kind of flower too. This one kind of just looks like I tried to use blue as a green. Don't ask me what kind of flowers these are. They're blue flowers, blue magic flowers that look however I decide they want to look. I think we definitely need another pink flower in here. I'm gonna add like a swooshy, swirly looking thing. Make it look like it's a little bit behind there. More pigmented of the pink. Actually, it's rose, isn't it? And then darken up around here. Try and create the illusion of like the folds of a flower. Concentrating most of the texture in the center. Interesting. I think I've improved since my first attempt. Just by layering it and taking it a little slower. The composition's a little meh, but I like the flowers. Little detailed little bitty flowers. Gonna be scribbly with it because I'm gonna add a wash over it that's not completely inside the lines. Oh, barbaric. Yeah, this isn't turning out at all the way I pictured. So what I'm finding the most fun was trying to draw the roses. So I'm thinking I'm getting a little too bogged down by like all these other elements and I don't really know how to draw any flowers. So if I pull back a bit and just focus on trying to draw a rose, I might come up with something that I'll be pretty happy with. Grab our piece of paper here. I'm gonna start with a very light wash of the pink. And I might end up mixing some blue into it too. Stuff appears to not come off your desk, which is strange for watercolors. I'm gonna use the really large brush and try to just paint rose shapes. So maybe we have a petal over here. Just gotta think of it all as like petals. Try and figure out where the actual bud is. Well, we've got like a bit of a rose shape. I just need the stuff in the middle and the stuff on the outside. The curled petal down here. I'm kind of trying to keep them all as separate shapes and not connecting them yet so that I can hopefully continue to visualize it when I have to start adding in more tones, like darkening up certain sections. Kind of just slowly making the shape smaller and smaller, it looks like. This is where it gets really complicated because there's like smaller bits that are inside the flower and then they get bigger and come out like that. And I'm not sure what I'm looking at, even with a reference. This whole area probably should be a dark petal. Here's the reference I'm using. I'll have it linked in the description. And then now I need to go in and darken up some areas. So we've got like the basic shapes down, but now I need to start adding in the tones. So I'm gonna take some more pink, but add a little less water this time. And it looks like it needs to be dark side here. And that kind of like gradients outwards. And then also behind there as well. So this little white section is supposed to be a petal coming up and then curling outwards. So this little curled section is getting a lot more light, which is going to make it lighter. I'm keeping it white right now so that I don't forget about it, but it should be pink by the time we're done. But I need to make sure all these sections around it are significantly darker, if that makes sense. I'm gonna go ahead and just do one petal at a time. Also, these white sections between each petal probably should be the darkest, but I need to keep them separated so that I know what I'm looking at. Basically, I'm just simplifying everything down. I'm trying to do it step by step instead of trying to draw a big complicated flower right off the bat. So that's another petal right there. See how weird that shape is? Like, how would you ever think to do that? Guess I need to draw a lot more flowers. Right, next up, some flowers up here. Or petals, excuse me. Now this is where I'm getting very different from my reference. So I'm just gonna have to wing it. This one right here should almost be the darkest petal. Fill these in while I can, because I'll have to wait for it to dry to be able to completely paint in all those little white sections that I left. I'm just trying to pay attention to the funny little shapes, because like obviously there aren't triangles and circles in here. I mean, unless you break that down to like that's kind of triangular and this is like rectangular. But I'm kind of trying to just pay attention to the actual shapes so that hopefully I'll be able to draw a rose in the future. Gain some knowledge, you know. And just slowly darkening things up. Yeah, I might have to add a little blue, maybe by making it purple. I can get some contrast in these sections that I kind of lost by going too dark too fast. Definitely am losing a lot of contrast here. Kind of lost a lot of the light tones specifically. So I'm kind of too nervous to get rid of the white spaces that I did leave. I don't want to try again. This time I'm going to use a whole sheet of paper. And this time, I'm going to try sketching it out first. I'm going to try to simplify everything. And draw this darn rose again. Since it is the second time I'm drawing it, that should help as well. Because there's things that I picked up on the first time I drew it that hopefully I'll remember. And then I'll also pick up on some new things. Okay, now this complicated middle bit again. These things are so complicated. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just trying anyway. I don't know, maybe I'm taking this too seriously. Maybe flowers are just supposed to be pretty little things that you look at and don't paint. Anyway, I'm gonna start doing it in the line art or I'm gonna drive myself crazy trying to make this perfect. Try to not keep any of the edge of the petals too like straight and perfect because they're very wobbly because there's like little niches and notches and all the little bits. Just color in all these like really dark sections here in the folds of the petals. I think I'm learning something, the way these curve and the way to draw, the way the curve folds into the petal. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's starting to make a little bit more sense to me. Okay, I just gotta wing it here. This might be a mistake. Here's my rose so far. I think I'll add the little bud down here too. Keep it a little bit more simple so it doesn't distract. Alright, next I'm going to erase everything. Add a little texture to the edge of the petals. Grab the big, oh, not that guy. Grab the larger paintbrush, our number 8. Some water. Color in all the lightest points maybe. We'll see which rose turned out better once I finish this one. This one's definitely gonna be a little bit more illustrative because it has that bold line, obviously. Then go in with like a nice mid-tone maybe. Color in some more. Doesn't seem any darker, does it? Yeah, I just... This is kind of what I mean when I say I'm not very good with watercolors. I have a hard time getting the tones I want. And maybe a proper palette would help. Just coloring it in, trying to keep similar tones farther away from each other best I can. I also want it to kind of like fade out when it gets near the edge. I personally think that watercolor is just a very complicated medium. There's so many different factors that go into getting each color and each tone. Like your type of brush, the amount of water you're adding, the amount of pigment that you have, paper that you're using. So each time I attempt them, it's like equal amount of struggle. I haven't like improved yet. And I've kind of like tried my hardest to learn on my own. And this might be one of those mediums where I just need someone to like be over my shoulder telling me exactly what I need to do to improve and like giving me lessons and exercises and things like that. I just have so much to learn. Watercolor artists have my greatest respect. I'm gonna grab some of the blue and color in this stem. If there's one thing I could teach you in my videos, it's that you need to try even if you're gonna fail. So that's why a lot of the end results I come up with aren't necessarily perfect. Let's compare this to the one I made earlier. I kind of like different things about each of them. I like the simplicity and the like shapefulness of this one, like the way the petals look. And then this one, I think I did a little bit better when it came to separating my tones. So I am moving in the right direction. I'm just glad that I have the opportunity to be able to make these kind of things. And the fact that I'm still living, which means I can still improve in the future. I wonder if I can use this to like darken up some areas. While the paper's still wet, just draw on it with the watercolor pencil. There we have it. Here's what I came up with today. A couple sketchbook pages. I think this is personally my favorite thing I made today. And then we have these 2 roses as well. I think I am going to just take a little bit of water and a little bit of this bluish purple that we've made and add it to this because I really like it over there. Almost all the same places that I added the graphite or the watercolor pencil. Has a different look to it. Anyway, I do want to thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching me go through the July ArtSnacks Plus box. I want to thank ArtSnacks for sponsoring the video. And if you want to learn any more information about ArtSnacks or ArtSnacks Plus, I will have a link in the description where you can find out more about that. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys all next week, and I hope you have a delicious evening full of waffles. Bye!